Okay. All right. Let's look at another scripture passage. Paul in Thessalonica and Berea. Are we done at 11:15, David? Is that right? Okay. I'm not going to read that whole passage. Maybe you've had a chance just to skim it. What is happening there? Why did Paul go to Thessalonica and Berea? Yes, they're going to the synagogue. Who would be in the synagogue? Jews and Gentiles who were interested in Judaism. Did he go there on purpose? Yes. He certainly did. He was out on a mission. His mission was to get into that synagogue and preach to the Jews and the Gentiles. What were his obstacles?
The Jews were jealous.
Yeah, they were. Because what happened there is he was preaching in the synagogue, and then some of those Gentiles left and went and followed Paul. They were jealous of Paul's message. And he kind of stole away some of his congregation, I guess. And what else happened to him? He did. He went to Jason's house and he got dragged out. Okay? And he was sent out of the city. So what was his method of evangelism? He preached the scriptures. Exactly. Again, he told about Jesus the Messiah because the Messiah would mean something to them. All right? And the Messiah was the Old Testament hope. What were the results? A church was formed in Thessalonica, in Jason's house. There was a church also formed in Berea. And we know that from other scriptures. And then Paul and Silas got kicked out of both cities. But did this deter Paul from going on his missionary journey? No, it didn't. He kept going on. And then we have him when he went to Athens. And we will just quickly, if you've looked through the passage, or you probably know the passage anyway. Why did Paul go to Athens? This is an interesting one. He got kicked out of the other cities. He had to move on. So where did he go? He went to Athens. But he essentially went to Athens to wait for Timothy and Silas to join him. And he wasn't there as a missionary per se. He was there essentially as a tourist. And because he was supposed to go on to Corinth, so if you look at your map, he came from the north down quite a ways to the south. He would have had to have gone by boat to get to Athens. And then Corinth would be to the west of him. And he was going to head that way again to join them there. But he got kicked out of the cities, and he was there for really his own protection. He took advantage of the delay. He got into this city, and what did he see? Lots of idols. Okay, so that would have been his obstacle, right? Part of the obstacle is all those idols. That's right. He saw an incredibly pagan audience there, and he spent his time really in the marketplace. Again, would there have been a lot of people at the marketplace? Maybe not as many as he could have found in synagogues. But he was in the marketplace. And in that marketplace, those people would not have had the same knowledge as the Jews would have. They wouldn't have had the knowledge of the Hebrew God. Because when we read through this passage, they talk about the unknown idols. And the unknown God. Okay, so what does he use? What does he use as his method of evangelism? He wants to present to them what? Who? Yeah. He wants them to know the true God. He sees what they're worshiping, and he knows it's false, and he's very upset about it. He knew their poets also. Notice, now in the marketplace there would have been philosophers gathered around, and he uses, again, the knowledge that he has of the people, and he uses the poets they knew to talk about Jesus. And what were the results? It's interesting. The results here are again different. Some became followers. What did others do? They sneered. Okay, do you know what? That's going to happen. Some sneered. Some wanted to hear more. They didn't become Christians yet. but some became followers and believed. So what can we learn from Paul's style of evangelism? Find a point of contact. Know something about your audience. Billy Graham, before he would do a crusade, he would send a team in about 4 days before, and they would go through newspapers, they would even read obituaries, and in every introduction, he would always, or someone, would make mention of something that was happening in the city. He made a point of contact. And so we need to do that. Be flexible, be creative. Things may not happen as you plan. Paul ended up in jail. That wasn't part of the plan. So think of ways to relate to people. Use the unexpected to evangelize. That's what Paul did here in Athens on his route to Corinth. You know, what are some ways where we end up with an intermission in our life? Maybe it's a flight delay and there's someone sitting beside you on a plane or someone sitting in an airport. And I think the really big thing is leave the outcome to God. You know, we really want answers immediately. And I was actually at a workshop a few weeks ago, and a woman was giving a workshop on iGods, meaning like internet gods. And she was saying that we are no longer just in like the an instant society, like, you know, the fast food thing. We're in a constant desire society. So we just don't want instant fulfillment. We want constant fulfillment. And I thought that was interesting to see how things have actually shifted. So not all believed, some sneered, some were interested. So he didn't give up, though. He went from place to place, person to person, and he did not hesitate if he didn't have success. So in closing, our time is gone. Mary Magdalene in John 20, verse 18, she saw Jesus. She was ecstatic. And she ran to the disciples and she said, I saw the Master. And she told them everything she had heard from Jesus. Well, the disciples in this passage, they were a little fearful of the Jews, and they locked the doors to the house. But Jesus shows up. And this is what Jesus says to them: peace to you. Just as the Father sent me, I send you. God is a sending God. He sends us wherever we are, to our families, to our neighborhood, to our workplace, to Tim Hortons, wherever. As Christians, it's really not only our responsibility to grow in our faith, but to share it too. And we can look at that quote that was sung in that song, do something. If not us, who? If not now, when? If not here, where? So, with God's help, let us not just grow in our faith, share our faith, and be a witness and make disciples.